Grace Holloway had never felt silence this loud. Welcome to Shadows of Justice, where crime meets compassion. If you are new here, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like, comment, and share. For returning viewers, thanks for sticking to the channel. It filled the courtroom, thick, pulsing, merciless, as the prosecutor's question echoed across the polished wooden walls. Miss Holloway, where was your brother on the night of April 12th? Her throat closed. The Bible beneath her hand suddenly weighed 100 pounds. Her brother, Luke, sat a few feet away at the defense table, pale, trembling, eyes darting like a trapped animal's. He looked at her the way he used to when they were children, when he'd break something and beg, "Please, Gracie, don't tell Mom." Now it was worse. This time it wasn't a broken lamp, it was a broken life. Grace swallowed hard. She thought of the night Daniel Reyes, 19 years old, full of plans and promise, had been found unconscious outside Murphy's bar. Head injury, brain trauma, permanent scars that no sentence could undo. The prosecutor's question came again, sharper this time. "Miss Holloway?" Grace's voice cracked when it came out. "He was with me," she said, "all night." A lie, a single sentence that shifted the balance of justice. The gavel came down a week later, not guilty, and her brother hugged her outside the courthouse, crying into her shoulder. "You saved my life, Gracie," he whispered. But in her chest, something else had died. The slow erosion of peace. Years passed, but the lie never faded. Grace's life became a study in quiet decay, her smile at work, her polite greetings at church, her teaching job at the high school. Every day she stood in front of students teaching Shakespeare about truth and betrayal, while a storm of hypocrisy churned inside her. The nightmares began a year after the trial, Daniel's face appearing in her dreams, not the living one, but the broken one, the way he must have looked that night on the pavement. Sometimes she saw his mother sitting in the back of the courtroom, eyes hollowed out from crying. Sometimes she saw Luke, laughing, drinking, insisting everything was fine. She told herself she'd done the right thing, that family came first. But the truth festered, turning her into something she didn't recognize. Then, one night, the phone rang. The second call. "Gracie," the voice was Luke's, slurred, unsteady, afraid. "What's wrong?" she asked, sitting up in bed. Static crackled through the line, followed by distant sirens. "I messed up. I didn't mean to. I swear I didn't mean to." Her blood went cold. "Luke, what did you do?" But he didn't answer. A stranger did. "Ma'am, this is Officer Keller with the Ash Ridge Police Department. There's been an accident." Grace's world tilted. Her brother had been drinking. He'd run a red light. The other driver, Mark Lesser, a 48-year-old father of two, hadn't survived. When she reached the hospital, Luke was gone too. Another casualty in the chain reaction of one lie. Grace sat alone in the hallway, staring at the blood on her hands that wasn't there, but somehow was. The smell of antiseptic burned her nose. The world was too bright, too sharp. She whispered, "I saved you once, Luke, and it killed everything." The next morning, Grace walked into the district attorney's office. Her knees shook as she approached the receptionist. "I lied," she said, voice trembling. "I lied 5 years ago, in court. I lied to save my brother." They led her to Jonathan Pierce, a weary prosecutor with kind eyes and a desk buried under paperwork. He listened silently as she told him everything, the night of the attack, the alibi, the guilt that ate her alive. When she finished, she waited for handcuffs. Instead, he said quietly, "You understand what this means?" Grace nodded. "Yes, but I can't live like this anymore." He leaned back in his chair, studying her. "We'll reopen the case, but you need to know there's no erasing what happened. You can't undo the damage. "I'm not here to erase. I'm here to atone." Her confession made headlines. Local teacher admits to lying under oath. The town that once praised her turned on her. Parents demanded she be fired. Friends stopped calling. Even her church grew colder. Then one afternoon, an envelope appeared in her mailbox. No return address, just her name written in neat handwriting. Inside was a single line: "I'd like to talk to you. Dr." Grace almost dropped it. After all these years, the boy her lie had nearly destroyed wanted to see her. She almost threw it away, but guilt doesn't let you hide forever. The community center was nearly empty when she arrived. Daniel sat at a folding table under flickering fluorescent lights. Older now, 24, short-cropped hair, faint scar along his temple, a subtle tremor in his left hand. The injury had left its permanent mark, but so had something else, a quiet, unshakable dignity. Grace's breath caught. "Daniel," she whispered. He turned slowly, eyes soft but unreadable. "Grace." She sat across from him, her hands twisting in her lap. "I don't know what to say." "Then don't," he said. "Just listen." For a moment, the only sound was the hum of the vending machine in the hall. Then Daniel spoke, not with anger, but with clarity. "I used to hate you," he said, "you and your brother. But hate's a heavy thing to carry. It doesn't heal anything. It just keeps you bleeding." Grace's voice cracked. "You have every right to hate me. I stole justice from you." Daniel shook his head. "You didn't steal justice, you just delayed it, and you've been living your sentence ever since." She wiped at her eyes. "How do you live with what was done to you?" He looked at her, steady. "By trying to make it mean something. I work here now, support group for people with brain injuries. Some days it helps, most days it hurts, but I keep showing up." Then softly, he added, "You can too." She frowned. "How?" "By telling the truth," he said, "to others, to yourself, everywhere you go." Grace's case reopened. She stood in court again, not as a witness this time, but as a defendant. Jonathan Pierce sat at the table beside her, and Daniel Reyes, the victim she'd wronged, took the stand once more. He faced the judge. "Your Honor, I don't want to see Grace Holloway in prison. She destroyed part of my life, but she's also the only person who's ever truly owned what they did. Let her serve her time through truth, through service, not isolation." Judge Evelyn Moore, calm and stern behind her bench, studied him for a long moment before speaking. "Mr. Reyes, your compassion is extraordinary." Then, turning to Grace, "Miss Holloway, the law requires consequence, but I believe redemption can also serve justice. You are hereby sentenced to 18 months in county jail with 12 months suspended, followed by community service and mandatory restorative justice work." Grace wept silently. Daniel reached across the aisle and touched her shoulder, not in forgiveness, but in acknowledgement. They both had survived their own versions of punishment. When Grace finished her sentence, she didn't run from her story. She told it in schools, churches, community halls. She stood in front of teenagers and said, "I lied for love, and it destroyed everything I thought I was protecting." Daniel often joined her. His voice was slower now, but sure. "I thought justice meant revenge, but real justice is truth, and truth doesn't come easy." Together, they became something neither could have been alone, two broken souls building meaning out of ruin. One night after a school event, Grace and Daniel stood outside under the glow of the streetlights. The air smelled faintly of rain. "Do you ever think we'll be okay?" she asked. Daniel thought for a moment. "I think we already are, just not the way we expected." She smiled faintly. "You saved me, you know." He looked at her, the corner of his mouth curving upward. "No, you saved yourself. I just stopped standing in your way." They stood there for a long time, not victim and liar, not enemy and witness, but two people who had finally learned the same lesson, that forgiveness isn't erasing the past, it's learning to carry it together. Years later, Grace's name still carried a shadow, but her story carried light. At every talk, she repeated the same words: "Truth may cost you everything, but lies cost you your soul." Somewhere in the back of the room, Daniel always listened, not as her victim anymore, but as her friend. The boy she had once betrayed had become the man who helped her find redemption. And when she looked at him, Grace finally understood what it meant to be free, not because she'd escaped punishment, but because she had finally told the truth. This is Shadows of Justice, where crime meets compassion. Subscribe for more emotional true crime and redemption storytelling, where every scar tells a story worth hearing.